can tell her, you can tell her anything. She's a real good listener. You can tell her anything.
Hey guys, it's Teresa. You're listening to You Can Tell Me Anything. This is the podcast where comedians confess something they've never told anyone before. And it is 2020. This is a new year, a new decade. Wow, everything is exactly the same. But you know what's not the same? My guest. I'm so excited that she's here. She was one of the first people I met in LA. She's so funny. She has a live show called Bake Stuff with Lindsay coming up at the Rita House in West Hollywood on January 27th. It's Lindsay Adams.
Yay. Hi.
What's up?
You said so many nice things.
Oh, thanks. I know. I feel like I am too formal sometimes, but it's like nice to have a little rhythm going in.
Yeah, I feel like when I listen to podcasts, which is so rare because they're heinous.
Like the honesty. This is a podcast about honesty, so that's good.
When I listen to podcasts, I like the formality, even though it feels like a waste of time when you're doing it. You're like,
when there's like the theme song and then there's like they have names.
Yeah,
for their,
I mean, I think it's
listeners.
fun. It's like, but I think comics think it's corny because we all do podcasts, and so we're just like, I don't know, man. I just like feel like we should just like chat. I don't know.
That's true. I think we are in our world where it's like, I guess a doctor would just be surrounded by doctors, but you only know your doctor.
Yeah, exactly. Like doctors are like, I don't need to explain to you how to do this.
Yeah.
Like how to do an operation. And it's like, you do actually.
And we're comedians are just as important to society as doctors.
That
you know?
is
Yeah.
so
I just
true.
compared myself to like a noble profession. Meanwhile, I'm just like out here trying to get likes. Like it's.
I mean, I've technically put in the amount of time it takes to go through medical school. So
Oh, that's true. I've never thought about it like that because I feel like after graduating school, I remember thinking like, oh, I'm so glad I don't have to be in like grad school forever. But then it's like we just started a new thing that you have to do for years.
I know. I mean, what are we doing? Let's die.
Well, just because we like to start on a positive
Yeah.
note, is there something good you'd like to confess, Lindsay?
Oh, good.
Yeah, just
I was
like
gonna
a quick humble brag, you know.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I was Jennifer Hudson's dog walker in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, big deal.
What kind of dog did she have?
She had 3 Pomeranians. They
Wow,
were named
3.
This was also so long ago, so they're probably dead. But it's like Oscar, Grammy, and Dream. Were
Oh my
their
God, she
names.
named her dog Grammy.
And they did not tell me. I was like working for a dog walking service and they didn't tell me. It was like anonymous.
Oh my
and so I
gosh.
just showed up at her apartment and I was like, oh, that's like an Emmy in like a glass case. And I was like, where the fuck am I?
It's just pictures of Jennifer Hudson. You're like, wow, this person really likes Jennifer Hudson.
That's literally what I thought. I was like, I don't want to make any like assumptions. And I was like, wow, this person is like really, I was like looking for a missing link. And then finally I was like, oh, it's Jennifer Hudson. Okay.
That's so funny.
So weird. Yeah. It was fun.
Did she review you well?
She was really nice.
That's
she was
good.
there like once or twice.
Oh, cool.
And I just like felt so, I was like in her home and it felt so weird. One time I came and like her husband was like asleep on the couch, like in his boxers with no shirt on. And he like got up and like offered me bacon. And I was like,
Bacon?
I've got to leave. Like I had to like, and it took their dogs were really bad. So they took like a long time to like get them ready because they were just like such little shits.
Yeah, Pomeranians are real whiny.
They're like
cute,
whiny
though, but they're
and
yappy
like
dogs.
the 2 girls weren't spayed and it was like a mom and daughter and they were like drawing blood.
Oh my God.
I know. I was like, I deeply relate, but
Jeez.
like also chill out. Anyway, it was so cool. I love being in rich people's houses.
Yeah, that is cool. I just think of her just because I just watched Cats as Grisabella, and what a nightmare of a movie. Did you watch it?
I didn't because I'm not going to see it. I like, obviously I'm obsessed with cats. I love cats. Like
the animal or the show?
Yes, the animal. And when I was little, my mom took me to go see the show and I just was horrified by like,
yeah, it's definitely not reminiscent of actual cats, like the animal.
No,
at all.
I was like, you literally took me to see bulges and sweatpants. Like this is an animal whose face I put in their belly. And now I like, that's heinous. Like there's
That's so
no
funny.
way. I was like so horrified, so I'll never see it.
I feel like Cats is written for people who want to hate cats. Like it's
I
like
agree.
yeah, because I do love the musical and I do like the animals, but I think I like it fully aware that it is a horrible musical, and the movie was just so. I don't know. It was like a fever dream. But there was a scene. Well, so like, she plays Grisabella, which has the solo or whatever. But then they added a solo for this white cat that usually in the musical, her name's Victoria, and she's like the main character in the movie. But usually
Taylor Swift.
She's not played by Taylor Swift,
Oh.
but she's played by a newcomer, and she's pretty good in it. I forget her name. I want to say it's Francesca, is the actress.
Interesting.
But in the musicals, she's just like a dancing cat, and isn't a huge deal. She just like she has a solo in the beginning and maybe like another solo towards the end dancing, but it's not a big character. But in the movie, she is. And there's a scene they added where Grisabella, like Jennifer Hudson, comes in singing her sad song, and then everyone hates her. But then this white cat, Victoria, comes out and is like nice to her, and she's like, I know your struggle, but she's literally been on the street for less than a day. So it starts with her getting thrown into a dumpster, and that's how she meets the cats. And halfway through the day, she's like, I understand your struggle. Like,
sounds like a white woman.
I know. So I was like, this is such a white feminist moment. But then at the end of the movie, they rolled the credits, and Taylor Swift wrote that song. So I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, fine.
I mean, it's a nice song and it's fine. And I'm not shitting on, she has empathy, so it's mostly just jokey, but it really did feel like, oh, really? You've been on the street for less than a day and you understand this woman's struggle who's been on the street for her entire life.
She gets it. She gets it.
Yeah, she's like, I get it. All I wanted was to be wanted. That's the song.
Truly.
But anyways, so this, wow. I can't talk. This podcast is themed around confessions, but also inspired by therapy. I know you've talked about going to therapy on stage, but what's your experience with therapy, or what's your relationship with that?
Oh my
for the
God.
listeners?
I mean, I've been in therapy since I was a kid. So I have been in like every type of therapy. Not every type of therapy. That's such a hard brag. No,
It's
I
like
like
a triathlon, or like you're doing Olympic sports.
No, I like when I was a kid, I was molested, and so my mom put me like immediately into therapy, and it's like bless your heart, but like it was almost like re-traumatizing
As a child to live through that.
Yeah, and they would do like weird play therapy, like they do at like the police. It was like so. Like the thing is like, you're supposed to like not know that your parent is watching you. And I don't know what kind of cheap place she took me to, but they literally just put up like a translucent curtain and I was supposed to like pretend like my mom wasn't like sitting and watching me color intently. So that was like its own thing.
That does sound traumatized. But by the way, you said a joke once. I think it was in that like Inner Sanctum show I had about how doing comedy is just like about, I can't remember I'm going to butcher it, but it was so funny about being competitive about who's been molested.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Funny.
I like never thought I would be so competitive about having been molested. Yeah. I mean, I haven't, I guess.
Dark, but very funny way to spin it.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of like a thing now, but it's a thing. It's like not a thing that I'm like horrified to talk about, only because like I've been to so much therapy.
Yeah.
I went through therapy when I was getting sober, when I was an alcoholic. I went through therapy more recently to like clean up the lingering shit. I'm just like all about it.
Yeah.
Almost to a point where like my therapist was like, you need a break.
You've graduated. You're like a senior who keeps coming back to school.
Exactly. She wasn't, obviously it's like I'm still very mentally ill, but she was just like, this is just like going to be about you implementing the tools. And it's like, fine, I get it.
Do you feel like you learn stuff in it that you use in life?
Yeah. I think one of my issues, and this is like, I think a common thing for comedians, is that like, I tell you so much so that I can keep the things I don't tell you buried so deep.
Sure. Yeah. Like we think we're being so open, but then it's actually because we are like, it's like a mask where you're like, I am open about this thing that people aren't open, but don't look over here. Yeah.
Exactly. So it like becomes this, you know, wall or performance or like actual vulnerability is like not being, you know, accessed. And I do think it, I mean, I think like processing that kind of stuff has like helped me grow in comedy. And I think that is like a key to like my personal growth in comedy. So that's like part of, I think, what has like been interesting to see transitionally, because I've always been like, I can't be vulnerable. Nobody, it's not funny. So yeah. No, but I think there's like a lot of tools that are implemented in life, but it's only like if you choose to.
Yeah, I relate to that. I think I didn't go as a child, but I've been going for a while now, and I do sometimes like take breaks because I'll feel like, okay, I've like hit a wall. But in my mind, I've always thought I've been progressing. Like every year I'll look back and be like, wow, I've been growing. But then I had like I guess it's kind of a wake up call, but you know, since it was the end of the decade, a lot of people were looking at their entire decade. So I did a lot of digging into like old diary entries and things. I found like an old blog, like a blog spot from like 2010.
Yeah.
And I found my resolutions from 2010 and they were almost the same as the ones this year. And I was like, fuck. Because I thought I had like done all this growing, which I have, but in a different way than I thought. Like I thought I was like truly like evolving. And then I look back and I'm like, I've been wanting the same things and repeating the same narrative for 10 fucking years. Like I haven't really changed at all.
Yeah, it's so interesting because it's like we almost don't get to choose the ways in which we grow. Like we just like put the action in, and then it's like I've never like gotten like a direct correlation of what I wanted. It's always been like in its own time or whatever.
Yeah,
which is so weird. But I mean, I think we're all gonna have the fucking same goals every single year of our life.
That's
it's like
true.
never gonna change unless they're like, you know, whatever, like TV set or some shit like that.
Right.
It's going to be the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I guess it's just different tiers of like being a better person or something, or feeling good or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, I guess, like this is not a real, I was like, speaking of it, I'm like, did we speak of confessions? No. But speaking of being vulnerable and honest, Lindsay, is there anything you'd like to tell me?
Yeah, I used to use MySpace as a dating service in high school.
Okay.
Dating service makes me sound old. But
sounds like you ran a business on there.
I know, I did. I ran a pussy business. No, I used it as like a dating site when I was in high school, like almost immediately.
Oh,
I
so
was
like you didn't first use it you were just like, I know I'm going to use
No,
this
I
to
was
meet
like
people.
immediately like, and where are the men? Like it was like my first time, because Facebook you couldn't have Facebook in high school when I was in high school. So it was like, it was still for college kids. So that was like my first access
to online networks.
Yeah, to online networks of people like in my area. And I was like, wow, I have to fuck all of them. Like,
were people at your school on MySpace, or was it a big thing at your school?
They were. Yeah, they were totally. They were on MySpace. It was like, it was like a thing everybody had. But at the same time, I think I felt like isolated in certain ways. So it was like so fucking excited to get out of my bubble.
Yeah, because you can meet people in different networks.
Yeah, 100%. And you can use it to meet up with guys at the mall. Like,
so you were actively looking like on the prowl for
I like
cute boys.
Totally. And I'm like not, you know, it's not like a super weird thing. There were so many people that did it.
No, the internet's literally
I mean,
like the first thing people use.
People will they'll use any sort of site as a dating site. Like I'm
Venmo,
like exactly.
No.
I feel like people could have met on Venmo. I mean, I think like almost immediately, I was so obsessed with having a boyfriend in high school. I just like really, in like a very earnest way, wanted to be loved. And like, which was not what I actually wanted. I wanted to love myself, and I just like didn't know that, blah, 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 blah. But
You're
I
very
was
boy crazy.
Yeah, I was like super boy crazy. And it's funny because like I don't always remember it because I've been in a relationship now for so long. But then when I talk to friends and I like go through old like diaries and stuff, like it's literally just like, I want a boyfriend. I want a boyfriend. I want a boyfriend. Will somebody love me? Will somebody love me? And like, it's just like nonstop. So I was like, oh my God, we have like a new pool of people that I haven't run through yet.
So you were dating in high school, and then you were like, I'm tired of these like young high school boys. They're so old news. Like, I want something new.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's interesting because I don't think I ever dated in high school. I had such a skewed perception of what it looked like to be with someone. It was really transactional for me.
Okay.
In like a way where I was like, oh, like I understand with sex, if I give you something that I will get something from you. So it's like, whatever, I'll get like your attention or like you say hi to me or something. And so I hooked up with like a bunch of guys when I was like a freshman in high school.
Gotcha.
And then I switched high schools and then I was like, and went to rehab and all this shit. And so I was like, oh, I'm not doing that anymore. And so then I just started dating old men. And not old men, but like guys in their 20s. And
Well, yeah, in high school, I feel like a year makes such a big difference too. Yeah.
100%. And I just like had access to this like whole different planet. But I also like these were all like people who were not like, I'm going to take, nobody wants, if you're like a 25-year-old man, you're not going to like take your 15-year-old girlfriend out on a date. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to call her your girlfriend. You're literally just going to have like very fucked up sex and then like pretend like it's not happening, which I like get now. I'm not defending them, but you know what I mean?
Sure. But yeah, so they were, yeah, predators, but you as a teenager were not aware of like the power dynamic.
Yeah. And I was more just like, oh my God, I'm not special enough to be their girlfriend, or like they don't care about me enough. And so it was like, it wasn't like all old dudes, but it was like even guys that were just like, when I was like 15, that were like 18 or 19. And
what were you, in your mind, what was like the relationship you were like, was there something that you like, what was your ideal, I guess, in your mind? Or were you just kind of going along step by step?
I mean, I think ideally I wanted them to like sweep me off my feet. Like it's such a classic save me, like wanting
like the pursuit. Because I feel like movies and TV shows like they kind of lie about that, but they've put so much emphasis on the pursuit and not the actual. You don't really see a movie that's just about two people in a happy relationship. It's all about like winning someone over.
Right. Like big gestures.
Yeah.
And like I was just so afraid that no one would ever love me if I didn't take what was being given. And so it was just like a constant string of me being like in like the most like not even understanding how you become someone's girlfriend, but just literally being like, I really like you. And they're like, yeah, I'm like not looking to get into something right now. And I'm like, that's cool, because I'm not either.
Because you're just repeating what you hear and what you think is cool.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, like they won't want to hang out with me if I like, and it's like, well, I mean, it's just such a teenage thing, but it's like such a societal view of like how women are like conditioned to think about relationships and sex.
Right, that you have something they want. You have to like, it's like you're like, yeah, there's a lot of value placed on like how much you admit to caring, whereas like I don't know, that the whole idea of like wanting to be a girlfriend too, because I feel like I mean I was also like, I was not very good looking in high school, so I didn't get a lot of attention, but I wanted a boyfriend, but I didn't get a lot of attention.
To be clear, boys. I was not. To be clear, I looked psychotic, but
I mean, like in my mind, it was a lot of crushing, pining, silently. But I also remember thinking like, how do you get a boyfriend? Like I just like had no idea, and I think that's a pretty common thing, because they're the girls who have them, and then they're the ones. And then that's it. And you're like, how do you think that if you just kiss a boy that he'll be your boyfriend if you keep talking to him long enough? But then sometimes, you know, there's the boys who take advantage or say they don't want anything, and 5 months or whatever goes by and you're like, wait a minute, at what point does this transform into
Yeah.
a relationship? But it never will. But you don't know that because you're not taught like this is not a relationship the way this feels.
Yeah, because it's not about the value of who you are. It's about like what you're giving and what is being given to you in like kind of a transactional way. But then there's the other extreme, which is like the girls who, and this is like nothing wrong with this, but there were the girls that like had boyfriends in like 6th grade and then they like were just like always with a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like they were always, and it was just like what it was. And like they lost their virginity in like the ideal way, what it's like their height, like what was like told to us was the ideal way, which is like even
Those people probably had parents that loved them.
I know. Well, the funny thing is too, is like, I mean, nobody's perfect. There's like a couple there's a lot of couples from high school that stayed married. And then I just recently found out that they all cheat on each other like crazy.
Oh, wow. Well, because of their first love, they probably have such a warped view of what love is.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know I think we're all like figuring it out and we're all kind of like figuring out like the wreckage of what that's supposed to look like.
Well, I like what you said about wanting to love yourself, like looking for someone to love you, but you know, kids don't know that, but that's such a like insightful way to say it, because I think a lot of adults don't even realize that, but it is that it's figuring out who you are before you can love someone. But most people want to just be like, well, if someone can love me now, then I'll be happy with who I am.
Right. And it's like and it's like natural as a teenager, but it's just like constant. I want like validation. Like I need people, and that was like when I was like a teenager, I was like, I need people to tell me I'm good enough.
So what were you looking for in profiles? Like, were you like browsing other people and then messaging them first? Or was there like a whole community of dating happening that?
No, there wasn't like a community. I would just like in high school, I feel like my type is like was pretty trashy, like neck tattoo.
Okay.
Trashy. And
that
like
was the era. Yeah. MySpace, Screamo, Panic at the Disco.
Exactly. Like that was so my vibe, even though like
fingerless gloves.
Yes. That was not how I dressed at all. I was like I went to Hot Topic, but I would get like a bright pink belt. Like it was I was like in trucker hats and like really
gosh, the
tan.
trucker hats, the airbrush.
Like super tan, like really. I had a trucker hat that said, fuck, what did it say? Oh, Von Bitch.
Oh
like
my God,
truly
yes.
like pure trash. But I like always went for the guys that were like a little bit ugly, or like I never had the balls to go for anybody that was like straight up good looking. Cause
like the Travis Barker of the group.
Yeah, like I was like, if he's kind of ugly, then he'll probably give me a chance. And I know, and that's like so
sorry for high school Lindsay.
But it was also really subconscious. It's not like I said that to myself. I was just like, he's kind of cute. And then we would meet, and there was only one guy that was like so gross that I was like, that's so mean. There was only one guy that I was like, there's no way you will turn into someone I'm attracted to. But everybody else, I was just like, yeah, you being into me is hot. Like, so, and it felt like a conquest too.
Sure.
Like I would always go for dudes where like I knew I wasn't their type.
Okay.
And then I would like win them over, and that felt really good.
So there's like almost I guess if you said transactional, that makes sense, because there's almost like this like a steps to it. Like there's like a gameplay element.
100%. It turned into like pure gameplay. So it was like in like a really weird, sick way. Like it was just funny. Like online dating, I was like, this is perfect. This is like perfect for the sickness of like playing this game. And
it was so new, like using the internet for that. So now it's like everyone's online. There's Tinder. There's so many. It's not strange. It wasn't strange then, because obviously now we realize like this is just an extension of real life interaction.
Right.
But at the time, it's this new thing, and you're like, whoa, the possibilities.
Yeah. Like at the time, it was just like, yeah, it was very unclear. And like it now, this is like coming out of like the AOL Instant Messenger, don't meet strangers online kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like everybody's a pedophile.
Yeah.
And so I would like go meet these guys. I remember one time this guy picked me up from school, and truly like everybody that knew me in high school is like, you were an actual psychopath. But this like dude rolls up and picks me up from school, and that was like my first meeting him.
Oh my gosh.
Or I would
How long had you guys talked?
We had talked for like, I don't know, fucking like a week or something.
Oh man. Okay.
It was like that. And I was just, it was like, to me, I was like, well, if you pick me up at my high school, everybody sees you. So like, you can't kill me, you know? Or like,
You're like, come on in, meet the principal.
yeah, I was just like, whatever. Or we'd meet at like the mall, and I would like get to like peek around a corner to like suss out if they were weird or not.
Did you ever get catfished and you're like, no, I'm going to leave?
No, I never got like catfished. I mean, I like never went for like people that seemed unattainable. Like I looked, so it's like, I feel like if you're catfishing someone, you're going to pick someone that's like crazy hot.
Or just not who they say they are.
Yeah, like super like conventional, like whatever. Yeah. No, I was never like I don't think people were even catfishing them. Maybe they were. I don't know. I'm sure they were. But no, it was like all like fucking just like trash meets trash. Like I would sneak out at night and just go and like have sex with them. I mean, okay, listen, I had some problems, but no, it was just wild and weird. It was like very a fun game.
You were like thrill seeking too. Was there a part of you that was like, it was dangerous, but that was exciting?
Yeah. And I think like the access to multiple people gave me, because I was so fixated on being special and loved, the idea of having like a rotating, like,
so you were the player in that situation. Yeah.
Like I felt very much like in control, and it was just like, okay, like I don't have to put any stock in this. It felt like very safe. And I think like people still do that. There's like everybody, like there's like, I think at any point in time, there's always like 2 or 3 people in everyone's phone who's single that they know they can get validation from if they text correctly. There's like always, it's like that's what we do now. That's how we communicate.
Yeah, in college there was like a term, the back burner bro. People would call it that. It's just like the back burner, which is weird because it's almost like putting this like, it is fake putting power into the woman, because you're like, oh, is this just my back burner? But at the end of the day, it's like they're also still trying to get something from you. Like they're responding to you not because they're so loyal and they love you. It's because they also don't care that much that you're treating them like trash, because they have other back burner girls too. So it's like this transactional thing where nobody's really treating each other like very well. But
totally. Well, then there's also like friend zone people who are just like, who just got like
the nice guy,
the
like
nice
the quote
guys
unquote,
who just like showed up for you all the time.
But then they get mad and you're like, you're the worst.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, it's like, I knew this was coming, but like, I just wish and it's fucked up on both sides. I mean, the internet has allowed us to like really play with power in relationships and sex in a way that like is different. I don't think it's new, but it's like different and very thrill seeky and exciting. So it was like really fucking fun.
Did it ever bleed into real life? Like, did your friends ever meet these guys you were dating, or it was all very like one-off interactions?
It's so okay. So when I was like 17, I met this guy through Myspace, and he was 27.
Oh my gosh.
He lived in the basement of his mom's house. And
of course,
I know.
mean,
and I like,
naturally,
I was like, I can't believe I didn't know he existed. And it's like, bitch, why would you? He's 10 years older
like, what
than
a
you.
Gem.
Yeah. And like, I was like dating and hooking up with him. And like, I told my friends, and there was this one girl, and she was like, Lindsay, that is not okay. Like, that is so scary. Like, everybody was just like, yeah, this like one girl.
Judgmental.
Yeah, well, Jess was just like, she was just like, it's like really like, that's fucked up, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, eat my shit, Jess. And then I find out Jess starts talking to him.
Ooh, twist. Wow.
I know. And they're like talking, and I find out.
How did she find him?
I don't know. I think she like messaged him under the guise of trying to be a protective friend and being like, what are you doing with my friend? But we're high school girls. We're dumb. Like, we don't know.
So he's like, another one in my web.
Well, yeah. And it's like I'm sure she had good intentions, but
Sure.
like you have hormones, feelings. So like she was like, yeah, I've been talking with him. Like, I'm sorry, but there's
God.
nothing that can. And I'm like, well, now you're disgusting. He's 10 years older than you, Jess. But that was like the only like bleed into real life. Otherwise, it was like a little bit like double life.
Gosh, high school kids are so mean. It's really like, it's one of those things
mean.
where it's like, it's such a short period of your life and everyone looks back and you're like, why the fuck is everyone so like, can we do something about this?
I mean, they're bored and miserable.
That's
They're
so-
trapped in a fucking like it. And high school feels like it doesn't make sense.
Right. And it's also, you're supposed to be learning so much, but all most people remember from high school is like social stuff.
Yeah.
And yet, like most of the time, you're supposed to be filling your brain with knowledge.
It's
crazy.
It's so weird. Yeah, high school kids are wild. I like also like now the idea of like a teenager, like a 15-year-old, like having sex or like meeting guys online. Like I would fucking hunt the dudes down, and I would like also just shake. I mean, I don't know. I feel like now like an old lady who's like, how could you? Don't do this to yourself.
Well, because you look back and you realize how young you are. But I mean, we all felt very old being teens. I mean, even in college, like people would have 30-year-old boyfriends. That was like a thing. Like, because I went to NYU, so it's like, you know, the cool developed girls immediately got to freshman year at NYU and got 30-year-old boyfriends, and that was like a sign of status. And looking back, I'm like, no, like I'm 30. Like if my friends are dating a freshman at NYU, you'd be like, you're a loser.
I know.
What's wrong with you?
I know exactly. Exactly. It's so, and it's
crazy.
like so interesting because like the line between predator and like dumb man.
Yeah, there's like elements. I mean, it's 100%. I think being underage and being a child, they're the innocent and naive, and it's like there's a predator to prey on them. But I hear what you're saying. Like those guys have issues too, and yes, they probably have a lot of trauma of their own and things like that. It doesn't excuse it, but they are human. But at the same time, it's just like looking back, you're like, God, what is wrong with that guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no, it's so confusing. But it's like, I really like can't, like the 27-year-old when I was 17, like there was like a handful of like men that were like almost 30 or 30 that I was like hooking up with. And like, I was very aggressive. So I was like very much like.
So you like initiated.
Yeah. Oh, I was like, no, chill. I was like, so.
Did you have like pickup lines or?
No, I just was like, here are my boobs. Like,
okay. That works.
No, like
timeless move.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I just like I made it very clear my intentions, like through my behavior or whatever. And realistically, a smart, good man would be like, no, why am I hanging out with a fucking teenager? But then at the same time, I don't think every one of those dudes are like full-on rapists. So it's like, it's confusing because I'm like, well, what was going on in your fucking brain? Like there was one dude who I used to sleep with, and he like one night, he was 27 and I was 17, and he was like, it's so hot, you're going to high school tomorrow. And I was like, well, that's weird. And he ended up marrying a girl my age.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's like obviously appropriate now, but he has like a family.
Your age now.
I don't feel like he's like raping 15-year-olds. So it's like, I don't know what planet your brain was on.
Well, if he was living in his mom's basement, there's probably some developmental stunting. It's in his mind, he probably doesn't want to admit he's an adult. It doesn't make it okay, because at a certain point, like, it is on the individual to take responsibility, whether you want it or not. But like, he probably views the world as if he's still a child, and that's
such a
why
good point.
he thinks it's okay But I think deep down he probably knows it's not okay. Society tells you it's not okay. You can't just ignore it just because it feels okay.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what
like
I mean?
it's like, why else is this like
This
a
is, like,
secret?
The
But it's
main rule. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the one thing we all know now as adults. Like, just don't fuck a kid. Like,
yeah, like at the very least, like don't. But I just like can't even. I like don't even understand. Like I really am like genuinely curious. Like what is wrong with those men?
I know it's such a like dangerous path to go down because I feel like, and you're empathetic, and I can sense that in the way you like talk about it, and I feel that too because I always want to like take the other side, not defensively, but just to understand it because it helps me sometimes when I'm like, why was I so hurt? And then I'll be like, well, let me think in terms of the person who hurt me, and then it's so easy to go down that path because they usually are also hurt, but then it's dangerous when it's too surface because then it just feels like excusing them. But I know what you mean because it is like, I do think a lot of men, I'll call them predators, I'll say it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. The line is very blurry.
Yeah, but I think predators, and it's okay still to want to normalize your interactions with them because you had good memories and that's okay. But I do think those men are predators, but I think they I think do feel like they don't, maybe they're fearful of women their age because they were hurt. So in their mind, it is totally justified. In society's eyes, it's not. And I think that is what we have to live by because until we can figure out how they can not be hurt without hurting others, like they have to not do that. But
well, at the end of the day, it's like I was a fucking teenager. Yeah. Like I was a teenager and as emotionally mature or as like physically mature as I was, it was a teenager. It was like a teenager of maturity. So like regardless, and that's the thing though too, which is like everybody's actions and like behaviors affect each other. So like to say that like I was like a lifeless mute teenager that they just like found and took is also like not, it's not accurate. Like I'm sure I, you know, as a person affected these men in some way where they made choices or whatever. I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
No, I know what you mean. I used to say, I didn't lose my virginity till later in college, so I wasn't having sex with these guys, but I would go to clubs a lot as a 17-year-old in New York. And now looking back, I'm like, yes, of course I was like baiting them, but I didn't know I was doing that. I'd like get on tables and dance and just be really provocative and flirt with men to get drinks, and I liked the attention. I wasn't doing it to get something out of them in my mind. I thought I was having a normal exchange of like flirtation and love, like that's what I felt love was, right? But now looking back, I'm like, no, they thought you were gonna have sex with them. That's why they were buying you drinks.
Well, it's like, I mean, it's just interesting. It's like, that's the thing too, is like nothing could have taught me that. Like my mom is always like, what would you tell your 15-year-old self? And I would be like, there's nothing I could say to myself at 15 that would have gotten the message across. Like I was mature in my brain and I was making conscious decisions and like, and I was, but like nothing but time teaches you things. So it's like, and or gives you perspective on like I didn't like discover feminist literature and like theory until I was in college. So I had like no idea, you know, I was like, society is like blah, 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 blah. But like, I didn't understand like the full picture of like how we socialize men and women from like an early age. So like I didn't have that context.
What did you study in college?
Music business. I mean, but it I took so many
traditionally feminist industry. No.
Yes. No, I took so many like gender and like all of those classes. I took a lot of that and it was like very, I don't know, it was just, it was interesting. It's like, what are you going to tell a teenager to fucking read bell hooks? Like, they're in
oh my God, I had a roommate give me All About Love by bell hooks, and it did really shift my perspective about a lot of things.
And it's incredible.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah, it's a totally good, I mean, there's nothing you can say. It's just like at this point, it's just like interesting to look at, I think, and just like funny. Yeah,
it's because there's having that perspective is helpful, and looking back and being like, yeah, this is who I was, and it's all, you know, it all comes together to make you who you are now.
Yeah. I mean, the trauma that any sort of like residual, any sort of residual trauma or like emotional pain generally came from me, essentially. Like I was like,
What do you mean?
in the sense that like I wanted love. Like I wanted, and that, I'm not like blaming myself at all, but just like, you know, what came from that. I wasn't like traumatized by dating a 27-year-old. Like
Right.
that
It
in
wasn't
itself
the
was
age,
not
yeah.
the trauma. The trauma was that I thought that was all I had to give.
Gotcha.
So like, and I proved it again and again and again and again. And so that was what I carried. So it was like, it's just weird. I don't know what the fuck I really am very curious. Like what, I would love to like talk to any of these men today and just be like, for real though, like explain.
Were there any like, I guess they're not real relationships, but were there any men out of these that actually felt more like, oh, this was someone I actually ended up having a longer relationship with or cared for, or they kind of were all just like a blend of randos?
There was one when I was 15 and he was 25 and he was on parole and he had a neck tattoo and he was like, like he felt like a win, if that makes sense. Like, because it, you know, I was like, okay, this is like what I'm worth or transactional, and which is all subconscious, but I was just like, he felt like a win. Like, and that, so that, and like, I really liked him and like, we like dated kind of. One time he took me to like a steakhouse.
Ooh.
Which is fucking nuts.
15-year-old. Oh, wow. I just thinking about that. I'm like, what?
It was like a double date with his friend, and his friend had like a normal girlfriend. And like, I cannot even imagine what was going through her brain. Like, I couldn't in a million years if I was in that situation. But like, yeah, we like went back and forth. I like made him meet my parents and they like hated him.
What did your parents say?
I was like, he's 19, and they were furious. And
so funny when you're lying about someone older's age.
yeah, I was like, he's 19, absolutely furious. And then they found he was 25, and it was
so
like,
you didn't even know.
no, I did. I just like straight up lied.
Gotcha.
I was like, I'll take the blow for like 19, but like, I'm not going to go full throttle.
No, he can rent a car.
Yeah. I was like, well, whatever. He drives. But he was like wasn't a good dude. Like he just was like bad. He was like abusive and like, he was like not, but I was like, I was there for it.
Yeah, because you had no other reference.
Yeah. I was just like,
he's taking you on dates, and that's the thing. You're like, okay, now I'm doing the thing, and this is what I see on TV. And
totally. It's like going through the motions. It was like, yeah, it's like, that's what you do with your boyfriend. You go to a steakhouse. That's what you do. That's how you know you're in a relationship. That's how you prove it.
I really like, because I didn't have normal relationships really either. In my mind, I do have those weird like markers. Like,
yeah,
when I had my first boyfriend, I remember being like, I have to cook for him. Like that's the thing. The first time I cook a meal for him, I have to bring him, like make him lunch to work. There were certain things that you're like, now I'll do this because it's a girlfriend thing. And it's like, where does that come from? I don't know. Like, you're supposed to just be a person, and whatever happens. But it's so weird.
It's so interesting. It's like I like truly pretended to be interested in so many things that I wasn't interested in doing, like, and until I was just like, okay, whatever, here's the truth, I just want attention from you, and if that means sex, it means
countless
sex.
Hours of wrestling.
Truly, like, I'm not down for like I don't want to go on your weird little date, like that's weird. I don't want to do that. I don't want to, like, I don't know, it just was very, that whole thing is very strange. When I dated later in life, the whole like weird, this is how you're supposed to behave.
Was it weird the first time you were like having more healthy relationship? Like, did it feel wrong almost?
No, it like, it felt lame, which is on me. You know what I mean? Like that's my shit. And I still dated like older dudes into my 20s. And like I dated a 41-year-old when I was 19, which was legal, but very weird.
Yeah. I dated a 40-year-old when I was 22, and I didn't think it was that weird because we were both working, but then he met my friends and was really weird about saying like what year he graduated, and that's when I was like, if you feel weird about this, then I'm gonna feel weird about this.
That's when like your lives mesh and you're like, oh my God, what are we doing?
Yeah, because it's like you kind of do like even though I knew there's a big gap, in my mind I was like, well, you never know, love can happen in many ways, and in my mind I was like, well, maybe we're just two people whose age doesn't matter. But then once they acknowledge it matters and they're like kind of dancing around it, that's when you're like, okay, so you know it's weird, and you're almost like, it feels like a lie at that point, and you're like, well, you just burst the bubble.
No, I mean, we had a genuine connection, which is like, but it's like I still had 20 years to get the experience and an emotional growth that I needed to be a partner. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I kind of buy into like the age doesn't matter to have a connection with someone, not like children, please. But like, sure, I get that. Like, I'm not dismissing those feelings. I just think that it's still a choice. It's just like, it's like I'm trying to think of like a metaphor that's not fucking weird, and I keep thinking of fruit. But okay, so I'm gonna go for this.
Speak on that.
It's like if you pick a piece of fruit and it's not ripe. This is so sick. And you're like, I'm going to eat it anyway, and it tastes good. I think it tastes good. All right, I'm done. You know what I mean?
Sexual.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's not
wine. No, I don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's
or
like
something that cheese. I'm like, we're both not drinking. I'm like, wine is a bad example.
Yeah. But then it's funny because my boyfriend of like 11 years is 1 year older than me. Mm-hmm. And he's like one of the only people I ever dated that were like my same age.
And then it worked. So it's almost like you broke the pattern and it worked.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I think there was like a massive difference in like believing that I was like worthy of love. Mm-hmm. And like it was not transactional. Like it was just like, oh, this is what's like it's supposed to feel like.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
And I feel like you've kind of, I've definitely heard parts of the story before, but he pursued you in college, right?
Yes, it was in college, but he did not. I don't know if he pursued me. This was confusing. I mean, we both have different stories as to how it went. We knew each other for like 2 years before we got together. And every time we met.
Also a different pattern, right? It's like, instead of meeting someone online for a week, it's
100%. Never in a million years would I have been like, that will be my boyfriend. Like he was in he was in like a copyright law class that I was in. And he asked so many questions, and it was all I wanted to do was sleep. And like, and the teacher let us out if he finished early, and he just asked so many questions. And I was like, you're cute, but like, shut the fuck up. And we flirted a little bit, but overall, like I dismissed him as like, there's no way he's interested in me. And we just like kept running into like we had mutual friends and stuff like that. We had like we just like didn't mix well. And then it just clicked all of a sudden when we like had to be around each other all the time. And then it was just like, oh, this is like very it's cute. It was very different. I know. Nice. It's very sweet.
So that I'm assuming because of the time and how you met in college that you missed the renaissance of online dating.
Yeah, I did some Craigslist dating, which is, again, my choices are poor. I did like Craigslist.
You posted stuff or you look for posts? Or
so, I mean,
I know people use Craigslist for that, but I'm like, are you like, there's like people posting, then you respond to them, and then there's like, I'm actively making a personal.
Well, like the trick with Craigslist then was to post in strictly platonic because
no expectation.
You'll always get someone. Nobody on Strictly Platonic was looking for friends. That was like
so
where
funny.
you went if you were kind of normal, like you weren't ready to like spread your legs and take a pic but like
And what does that say about? That's also kind of fucked up to be like,
it's not honest.
It's like look for someone who doesn't really respect boundaries.
Yeah.
But is plausible deniability.
Yeah, it's like all very like dishonest, weird behavior. But I would do that, and then I would meet up with, and then I would make it a double date every single time. And
Safety first.
Yeah, and I would make it a double date, and I was like, if I can get a free dinner out of this, I'm good. And so I did that a little bit, but then no,
What
I've
were people
never.
on Craigslist like?
I mean, honestly, the guys were not that weird. It wasn't like.
I guess that was before there was other, like if you wanted to meet someone as an adult, like
Yeah, there was like plenty of fish or something like there's like Match.com, the things you pay for or whatever. But like I almost feel like there were more creepy people on there.
oh sure, yeah, because early on, like now it's different now because the trends have changed. But early
Right.
on, when it wasn't the norm, like the people who are willing to pay money to go meet people first,
Yeah.
were probably had very bad luck in real life. So.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it was just like it was almost. I mean, I would also like suss them out, but like, yeah, like they truly like I never met anyone that weird.
Yeah.
So that was like interesting, but I've never like swiped right or blah blah.
On
blah.
the
I mean,
DM.
I love Tindering for other people. I think it's so fun, but
How do you feel like it is different now versus like at the advent of dating online? Like, do you think it's easier now?
I think it's easier. I think it's easier and harder. It's like oversaturated. So it's like in the same way that like everything goes. It's like getting in at the beginning sucks, but is like also kind of good. It seems really oversaturated. And it's like if I could like if my mentality was like running through people for attention when I had MySpace, like I can't even.
Having Tinder. Oh my
yeah,
God.
like the idea of just like what I hear from friends and just like also like immediately like that behavior. I'm not surprised. I'm never surprised that people are like, I can't believe this person. And it's like, why? Well, why would you ever talk to them again? You have 40 people. Although men are always like, I never get any responses.
Do you want to hear my? It's not a real hack, but and it wouldn't work if for a lot of people. But I think because I've gone so far the other way, I figured out a hack for online dating.
Yeah.
For if you don't want to do the gray area or creeps, or even guys who are quote unquote nice guys, but still are just on there to fuck.
Right.
The hack is if you say, this is also going to get you not swiped right on by a lot of people. So that's the disclaimer. But I've started saying like, I'm looking for respect, which is a ton of people are like, fuck that, like bye.
Yeah.
But I've had so much more luck. And I started doing this I was on Field, which is for couples. And so
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I only I did it because on Field it's so open that you have to
Yeah.
say what you're looking for, and there are a lot of couples who want like a unicorn and whatever.
Yeah.
And which is totally fine, not shaming that, but that's a whole different style too. Like people who just want to objectify a girl, and some girls
Right.
want that. So I was so honest about like I'm looking for respect and love, and that got me exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
But it's a hack because people who want to play that like gray area game where you're pretending you're falling in love and we
Yeah.
don't know what we want, you won't get that. You're gonna get someone who's like, I'm here to respect you, and you're like, and that's not really hot for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it is for me now, and I think it wouldn't have been when I was 22. I'd been like, ugh, go away, I don't want your respect.
No, I mean, I feel like it's so bold. It feels so brave when people are just like straight up. And I have friends who are like, just like, yeah, sorry, I'm looking for a boyfriend. Goodbye. Like, I don't, we mesh, we get along.
Yeah.
This is great. And I want a boyfriend and you're not it.
Yeah.
And I think that's bold because like being like, I want respect. Like, I would
It's
never.
not sexy at all, I'll say that. But
No,
it's,
but like.
it definitely weeds out the creepers.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's still someone who's like, I'll fucking, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll respect you naked.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
I mean, no, I still like sex. It's not like I'm like
no.
Puritan. It's just, yeah.
Like the real creepers, like
Yeah.
the men who like assume every woman is like, God, what fucking. I'm very glad that I like didn't experience that.
Yeah.
And if I was single and dating on Tinder, I just think it might be a full nightmare. Like I really pray for multiple reasons that I never have to do that.
To do Tinder. It is also just like, I think so many people use it for different things. That's the other part too.
Yeah.
Because I think I had a conversation with a guy friend once. Like, this was when I was still in New York, but he was saying like he was Tinder. He was like successful on Tinder, and he was like, I'm winning. And I'm like, oh, okay, what does that mean? And for him, it meant he was like, I'm just going on a lot of dates and scoring. And I was like, so that's winning to you. But I'm like, to me, winning on Tinder would have been the opposite at that time. It would have been going on one date, like scoring in the sense that like, this is it, and then never having to go on another date again. So I'm like, so we're approaching Tinder with completely different objectives.
Yeah.
Mine was to like have sex with one person for the rest of my life, and his was to have as much sex as possible with as many different people.
Right.
So I'm like, so naturally you're gonna have this like clash if people are looking for different things.
But one thing that I do think that it seems like it might have been helpful for is, I mean, I feel like when you have to represent yourself in some sort of profile, you either have to make the choice that you have to like be decisive.
True.
Or you have to like completely hide yourself.
Or you can just say you like adventure and
like exactly. But it's like you kind
of
of do have to make that choice where you're like,
you know,
this is what I want. Whereas like I think
it's democratic because even the like basic girl profile, quote unquote, you know, they're like live, laugh, love.
Yeah.
If enough of them amass, we know it's a thing. So it's like, it's democratic because even if you're not honest, we now see what that is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So much has changed.
I
Well,
know.
I appreciate you sharing that. Did we miss anything in your MySpace days?
No, there's really nothing that exciting. I mean, the pics
Did you have a song playing when you go to your profile?
I did, and it was Snoop Dogg. Fucking, what was it? Like Sexual Seduction or something?
Oh my God.
What is that song?
Oh.
It was like Sexual Eruption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
That was the song that was playing. I had that playing, and I had like stars falling and pictures of me. Just
like top angle,
top
bangs in the face,
full top angle
eyeliner,
bangs and like bleach blonde hair and just huge white sunglasses.
Yeah, that was the look. I remember that. I remember Tila Tequila. Man, what a tragic story for her, because it could have been a cool success to be like someone became famous from the first, but then it ended up being unfortunate.
I know.
With her. I watched her show, the MTV show, A Shot at Love. That to me was cool at the time because I was like, oh, now I look back, I'm like, this is so queer baiting. But like at the time I was like, whoa, so progressive. She's dating man and woman. There was a firefighter girl on it, and I had such a huge crush. This was when I was straight. Well, when I quote unquote, it was in the closet, but I was like, wow, that girl Danny is really hot, but she looks kind of like a guy, so that's okay. And now I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
That's so funny.
I have a quick game.
Yeah.
Do you want to play? Okay, so it's inspired by, I knew that your confession was about MySpace, so it's inspired by the top 8 of MySpace.
Ooh.
If you guys are listening and don't remember MySpace had a top 8. Basically, it's actually very savage, but you rank your friends and you put your top 8 friends, and at any point, if you wanted to let like Becky know you were mad, you would just cut her out of the top 8. And so that was what that was. So since it was just the end of the year, this is basically, I pulled a couple like top lists from like end of the year lists.
Yeah.
And I'll read the category and then just have you try to guess as many on the list of top 8 as you can. And there's no wrong answers. I'll just tell you if it's on the list or not.
Perfect.
So, okay, this first category is, according to Cat Fanciers Association, the most popular cat names of 2019. So,
oh shit. Fuck, what
just any guesses.
I'm just gonna say Snowball.
That's a good guess, but that's not on there.
Shit. Archie?
No. One of them is a famous cartoon cat or cat
Garfield?
type type of cat. From a Disney movie.
Oh, from a Disney movie. Simba?
Yeah.
Really?
number
People
3.
are out here naming their cats
Yeah.
Simba?
That's number 3. So then first number 1 is actually Oliver.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
And then there's Bella, Chloe, Luna, Max, Lucy, and Lily. Oh, Nala's number 9.
Oh, great. I mean, that's like horrible. I can't believe people name their cat Simba.
Okay, this one will be, let's see. Okay, so let's do a easy, this one's going to be an easy category.
Okay.
So these are the top grossing movies. This is of all time, actually. So this is not year, because I thought that year would be a little too tough. Top grossing movies of all time. See if you can name a few in the top 8.
Transformers?
No.
I'm really out of touch. Wait,
I bet you can get one of these at least.
I keep wanting to say Jumanji just because I want to see Jumanji too. Fuck the Marvel one, Captain.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Marvel ones.
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok.
That one's actually not on it, but I'll give you Marvel because there's 2 Avengers movies in the top 8.
Avengers. That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. What about X-Men?
X-Men's not on there. Actually, there's 3 Avengers movies in the top 8.
I believe it. People love
Damn.
superheroes.
No, Avatar is number 2. Number 1 is Avengers Endgame.
Oh, I believe that. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Also, I've never seen Avatar No Desire. Is it good? Have you seen it?
It's not. It's fine. I remember at the time it was cool because of the,
Blue people.
graphics. Yeah.
Yeah.
But looking back, I'm like, this story was fine. There's nothing really that unique or original. I just loved that that year Hurt Locker, the Avatar, and it was like Catherine Bigelow is James Cameron's ex, and there's something empowering about that.
No, totally. Let me think. I don't know any of the others.
Well, there's
I'm
another James
blanking.
Cameron movie on here.
Fuck.
His
James
other
Bond?
famous
I'm not great with directors.
Titanic.
Oh my God. It's really hard because there are movies that I would name and I would be like, yeah, it's a blockbuster. And everyone's like, that
you had good guesses.
tanked at the fucking box office.
You had good guesses. This is hard. I thought this would be easier, and now that I'm doing this, I feel like it's hard. Okay, well, let me think. Let me see. I have a bunch of categories that might be too hard. I had one about baking, but
I'm
it might
fine
be,
with
this might
too
be a little
hard.
tough. So let's see. These are the top most popular recipes of 2019, the dessert recipes according to All Recipes. So these are shared by them, looked at by them. So see if you can name one of the top 8.
And for baking?
Yeah, these are from allrecipes.com.
Okay. Lemon bars?
There is lemon ricotta cake. Is that close to lemon bar?
Yeah, it's fine. Oh, fuck. What are the recipes people look up? Chocolate ganache.
No, that does sound good. I'll say the biggest trend for this year was keto and air fryers.
Of course.
So air fryer churros are on here, air fryer Oreos.
Fucking gag me. Who
I don't
cares?
think you'd be able to guess the number 1, but I'll just say what it is.
Yeah.
Because it's real weird. Key lime poke cake.
Fuck
You
off.
ever heard of that? Is that a thing?
Yes.
Okay.
It's so, everybody is so disgusting and basic, and it's so disappointing.
Okay. Well, this is much harder than I thought. Hopefully it's sort of interesting for
It's
the
still
listeners.
fun.
Okay. Okay, this final one is kind of a silly one, but Pornhub published top porn searches for 2019, and these are words. And
Just individual words.
yeah, and I'll say this: the hint is they're not. This list of the top 8 one is they're pretty. A lot of them are pretty tame.
Okay.
So that's the hint.
Boobs.
No, but I like that. It's all 12-year-old boys.
I know. Fuck. I mean, lesbian.
Bisexual is on there, so I'll give you that as a half point because that's a
Okay.
half lesbian.
Interesting. What would someone search? Dick? No, that would be
That would be
women. This is like so. Well, give me one. Like Harry, is that one?
Well, okay, number 2.
Shame.
This is why I say it's tame, because it's not what you would expect. Alien is number 2.
Fuck off, you guys. You're so sick.
But number 1 is amateur. So, okay, it's pretty tame.
Duh. People love amateur.
Yeah, but that's the number 1 search term. But I'll read the other ones just so you guys can hear them. Okay, so number 1 is amateur. Number 2 is alien. 3 is POV. 4 is Belle Delphine, who I looked up because I thought was a porn star, but I won't go too into it now, but she has a really interesting story. She is a influencer / troll. Like, she's very cute, but she did this to, like, she created a Pornhub channel to be like, I'm going to make a Pornhub, and it's all like gag videos, but they're very clever, and they're like, it's like her being like PewDiePie inside Belle Delphine, and it's like her eating a picture of PewDiePie. So it's like pretty funny. It is still in that realm of like, she is for sure like milking that. So there's definitely like a lot of haters, but I think it's interesting. So
it's
if you guys are, look her up.
She did like some top whatever.
Yeah, she's number 4. Number 5, cosplay.
You know what? Everybody is so fucking, and I'm not even sex shaming people, but the fact that Alien, I cannot get over Alien being number 2. I can't get over it.
You would think like gangbang or something. No, this is all just, I mean, people in their mother's basement probably. Number 6 is mature.
Okay.
Mommy issues. No,
I like that. That's fine.
7, bisexual. And then number 8, the most nerdy, Apex Legends, which is a video game.
That's so specific.
It's literally, it's like a Fortnite. I didn't even know there was porn around. Maybe they're just, I don't even know. It's just crazy.
Oh my God. Right? That is like actually so interesting, that list. And like,
it's not what you would expect.
No. And it's like, I guess like it's better you're into aliens than choking. I don't know. Like gagging. I don't know. Like at least it's not face fuck. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They need to change their advertisement on porn sites, because judging by like the pop-up ads you get, I would have guessed totally different categories.
Blowjob or something like that. Alien.
But no, alien. Right. So I don't know. There's a niche there.
I know, for real.
Well, I think that you won. It counts.
Okay,
you got
perfect.
You. I feel like you were in the right ballpark. So as the prize, you get to tell our listeners where to find you.
Yay! I'm on Twitter at Lindsay's Face, and I'm on Instagram at BigStuffWLindsay, and then at Lindsay is a cat.
Yay. So follow Lindsay. She's super funny. Go watch her live show.
Yeah.
Follow this podcast at Tell Me Anything Pod, and follow me at Larissa T on Twitter and Instagram. I've been Teresa Lee. Thanks for listening.